A very good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to the fourth edition of the AVNI webinar series. As we speak, the second wave of COVID is waning, and there are distant bells of an impending third wave. How prepared are we? How is our vaccination going on? How are we dealing with the people who have had problems with their livelihood, which was caused by either the first wave or the second wave? How are people coping? How are people coping with the shutdown? These are all things that are going on in all our minds, and all our NGOs are working towards trying to make this world a better place. Last month, we had a webinar where a lot of people talked about how each of their implementation is working towards making things better there. Some were talking about how they were dealing with livelihood issues. Some were talking about how to deal with problems in their locality, how they were trying to contain infections in their area, and things like that. In this edition, we're taking a slightly different approach where we are going to talk about how AVNI was used in some of these implementations and to what end. And we've seen some very interesting uses of AVNI. A lot of them are not directly done by us, but by our partners themselves. So we'd like to hear some stories about how this was done, what their use case was, and how it was solved. Now, before we go ahead with our presentation for today, there are a few people who are new to AVNI. So I'm going to do a very short introduction to AVNI before we go ahead. It will be a 10-minute kind of introduction, after which we'll go on to the regular speakers. And to do that, let me share my desktop. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes.
Thank you. So let's see, what is AVNI? Imagine you have a community program where you have clients or beneficiaries who are living somewhere, and there are community workers who essentially are going to your clients or your beneficiaries, collecting data over time to time, trying to provide some kind of a service to them. You will have field coordinators who will essentially monitor the work of these community workers, and there will be some program coordinators who will essentially make sure that the whole program is running fine. Any kind of use case like this is something that AVNI will fit in. AVNI is used to collect data about beneficiaries over a period of time. Now, this is what we were thinking of AVNI in the beginning, but as you go forward, you'll see that AVNI has actually been used in multiple different kinds of, or slightly different kinds of scenarios as well. But let's see what AVNI really entails in terms of, like, what does this mean solidly? What this means is there is a field app, which is an Android app, which is offline capable, which means you don't need internet for it to work. You can fill in data, and wherever you have internet, you can actually push this into a cloud where anybody else can retrieve it. It can be used for reporting if you require. It can also be used as a workflow management tool for a person who is on the field. There is also a web app, which means that it is available on the browser in case you need to have some of your staff who are actually working in the office and they need to actually fill in a similar kind of data. Then you have a similar kind of application that can be used on a browser, which means you can sit in an office on a bigger desktop and use it. It can be used, so you have a reporting dashboard, and you have translation management, which essentially helps you with translating into using the app in multiple languages. This is basically what AVNI is, and all the data is hosted somewhere on the cloud. It's in Mumbai, in India, safe and secure. So that's what AVNI is. Now, how is it different from a lot of other data collection platforms? It's meant to be a job aid, which means that a lot of help is provided to the person who's filling this on the field. Things like field corrections, mandatory fields, make sure that a value is not beyond or less than a certain value. Fill in certain visit scheduling, which essentially means that your reminder on a specific day to go visit a person or talk to a person. There are also some tools which tell you how much how much your workload is for the day or for the week, and things like that. So let's look at it from a few pictures. So this is like the dashboard of a person you would see on Avni. You can see that here a person called Muhammad Ibrahim has been enrolled into multiple programs. You have the details of, say, one program in here. It handles households and families as well. So you can basically create households, add members to it if you want to. You could also handle groups where you create a group like a class and add students to it. It's actually being used in situations like that. Again, if you see here, there is a situation where you could enter data, and based on what you enter, there you could have additional questions that come in. You have recommendations that are given by the system, which essentially means in this particular case, there are some high risk conditions that a user should be aware of so that they can deal with the beneficiary in the right way possible. There's obviously some medical specific things like growth charts and vaccination schedules that can be included into the system. There are dashboards which we can create to make sure that the person using the app on the ground knows exactly how the situation for their catchment looks like. Can obviously be written in multiple languages. It's multilingual. There's a bunch of reports that you can take out of it. And a lot of organizations, many of whom are not here. This is a pretty outdated slide. It is open source, so you could use it yourself in case you want to. It is Samanvay Foundation, which is what maintains Avni right now, also runs a cloud-hosted deployment of Avni, which essentially means that you don't have to have a server in order to use Avni. You could just sign up and start using the Avni product. Here are different use cases where Avni has been used till now. Complete community health projects where there is one organization which works in a bunch of villages providing multiple different programs for things like making sure you have a good household survey there, making sure you have the entire gamut of RMNCH, NCDs, basically all kinds of non-communicable diseases, tuberculosis, death, everything put together. There are some organizations which use it as a complete community health project. There are some that use specific programs such as maternal and child health, adolescent care, tuberculosis, or sickle cell screening. And outside of health, there are some people that use it for to measure how well dam desilting is going on in the dams in their state. Some organizations use it as to provide social security schemes. In some cases, it's about affordable housing and sanitation. Actually, Shelter Associates, Smita is talking today about, is from Shelter Associates who actually does this. Child rights, things like trafficking, that's also being covered, or that's also being a field that is being covered by Avni. Let's talk about Avni during COVID. Now, what are the different purposes for which Avni has been used? What we've noticed is in the earliest stage, the idea was monitoring of low-risk patients. So if somebody is at home, make sure that they are not, they can still stay at home and do not need to come to a hospital. And this is one of the use cases for Avni during COVID. Another use case could be to evaluate needs and provide necessary needs. So you have like a huge, like 25 districts that you have, and you don't know exactly what needs to be done. So what do? You actually run a survey and see what the needs of each place is. And then based on the needs, you actually roll out schemes to the regions that are specific to it. And that's a project that we're working on. We'll probably have like a much more detailed session next month about this. But right now, that's the level of detail that I can go into. The other is, and this is something that's been coming up more often, is about encouraging vaccination. And a lot of work is happening in this area using COVID. What are the different mechanisms? There are people who do field-based follow-up to a certain risk, which essentially means that if somebody has COVID, you actually go to their house every day and make sure that they're doing okay. There is one use case of a call center based follow-up where you don't have to actually go to their home, but you can call them up and check every day whether they're doing fine. And Gigi would be talking about this. There are surveys that people do for different needs. Like, for example, just going and checking if people actually understand about vaccines, whether vaccines protect or not, whether they know enough about COVID. And based on that, they would give the right kind of assistance to the regions that they identify. There's also this thing of monitoring supplies. If I'm distributing a lot of, say, N95 masks, for example, how do I figure out how much has been distributed and how much has been? And this is not something that Avni typically has been used in before, but we're seeing these use cases also kind of come up during, and this is also a learning experience for us as well. We've also seen people trying to start using Avni to maintain some kind of a vaccination help desk where they help people figure out what vaccination, like to basically promote vaccination within their areas. So these are the different kind of options, different kind of scenarios or use cases that we have seen. I don't know whether there are others. We can discuss and debate and figure out what it is. But first, let's hear from our speakers as to what really they are doing so that we can learn from them. The first speaker for today is Smita Kali. She is the project director of Shelter Associates. Smita is a master's in statistics with 21 years of experience, and she's been with Shelter Associates since 2015. Shelter Associates, as we know, Smita has also already talked here before. Shelter Associates works in slums and informal settlements in multiple villages of India to provide technical support and facilitate access to improved housing and essential services. With that, I will stop my talk and hand it over to Smita.
Yeah. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yeah.
hear.
Okay. So thank you, Vinay, for the introduction. And I was really thrilled to see how Avni has been in use for different purposes for COVID relief and COVID related use cases. So I'll share my experience about how we have been using Avni in during the COVID period. Actually, I would like to give some background like about the Shelter Associate. As Vinay said, that we are working in the urban slums of Maharashtra for providing them the basic services such as sanitation and social housing. So when we started our journey, we felt that the lack of data is a major hurdle in any development activity. So we started collecting the data. So from paper pen based surveys, now we have reached to Omni product. So our journey has been very excited, and we thought that the open source platform, we should always leverage the open source platform for NGOs going forward. So initially we started with the Kobo Collect, and then we shifted to Omni because of the different tools and different facilities available in the Omni. And we started our surveys using Omni. So we used to collect the basic data about each household from the slums, so that we can get an idea like what is their existing status, what is the infrastructural facilities available in the slums. So around that we used to collect the data. And last year when COVID hit, for some time, even we had to stop our work in slums because of the lockdown and all those things. And many houses were locked. So we could not even started our operations. But slowly we started with the COVID relief work, like distribution of hygiene kit, ration kits. And then we again started going into the communities, and we used to get the demand for household toilet, which we used to give it even before the COVID thing. So people are now really very desperate to get the household toilet because they don't want to go out and use the community toilet blocks, because those are really very dirty and crowded place. So that is a major hotspot within the slum for the COVID thing. So to minimize the risk, we started our operations for sanitation also. And during that time that we realized that people need to be aware regarding the COVID appropriate behavior. So use of mask, distribution of sanitizers or hand washing practices, those are need to be taken up. So, but like for that matter, we didn't know about like what is the awareness level and what is the requirement that we should be go ahead. So there we started with COVID relief work, and then now when the vaccines have come in, the government or everybody is struggling to get the requirements and get the awareness around the vaccination, like because some people are not ready. There is a hesitancy for vaccination in slum areas. That is what we have observed, and that is what we are hearing from others also, like even the local government, when we are interacting with them, that very poor turnout from the slum communities. Like in one of the cities, we heard that out of 200 vaccine administered, only 4 people came from the slum community. So that is very poor outreach and very poor awareness regarding that, because there are a lot of myths around the vaccination. So we need to address that also. But how to do that and where to start? So we thought that since we had a basic data collected for that particular household, then we started thinking that should we add the information about each member of the family. So what their name, their age, and whether they have taken a vaccine or not. So first dose, second dose, and all those details we started taking. So Omni has helped us to configure that additional form or the additional data that we wanted to use for the COVID vaccination drives. So we appended the existing we appended the new form in the existing data, and now we are using it for the tracking or getting the exact requirement for each slum community. So I would just share you one of the map that we have created using it. So this will give you an idea. This is the special data that we collected through Omni, and that is mapped with the households here. So now here, with the help of data and map, we know that, okay, how many houses have got the first dose, how many has not taken, how many are interested, how many are registered, not registered. So different kind of surveys we run through Omni. So this is one of the use cases, that this is the household level data, but household level data is not sufficient, because we need to see member wise, because in particular family, if there are say 5 members, so how many of them are 18 to 44, how many of them are above 45, and whether they have taken a vaccine or not. So all those details we are capturing, and we are statistical data is also, we are collating it, and will be sharing it with the ULBs. So that is how then now we are doing it, our surveys, and simultaneously we are also planning to do the mobilization activities using the data. So we know that since we have a data that how many people are ready for the vaccination. So if they are already willing to get the vaccinated, then we coordinate with the health department to set up a health camp near a slum so that they can get the vaccinated, and focus on the households or the members who are not ready for the vaccination. So there are many reasons that we have seen, like, okay, people. Oh yeah, let me just share it once again. Vinay, can I share my screen?
Hold on one second. Let me see how to do that.
Yeah, okay, so I'll just continue.
You should be able to share now, Smita.
Yeah. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what I was talking about, the special data for getting the coverage. So once we collect the data, we join the data with the map that we had created. And through this, we know like which are the houses which haven't got any vaccination, which are the houses where the first dose is taken, the second dose is taken. So this gives us the idea about the spread or the coverage of the vaccination. And then we do it at the member level also. So I'll just stop this here. Yeah, okay. So now with this, what we are doing, that wherever we know that, okay, in this household, people are not vaccinated and they are also not interested, then we do conduct the mobilization activity, the awareness sessions with such families, and understand their concerns, understand their worries, like why they are not ready to take the vaccine, and then we address them. So we have a different material developed around the vaccination, like why vaccines are important, why everybody should be vaccinated, and what are their side effects, what if you don't take the vaccine. Everything we cover into those our mobilization activities, and then we generate the awareness about vaccination and make people willing, ready to get the vaccinated. So all this information along with data we share with the ULB, so that they are also aware, like what is the exact requirement for any particular area, so that they can arrange the camps and the people will get vaccinated. So this is how this initiative we have started in Kolhapur, Pune, Navi Mumbai, in Thane, and where we are using Omni actively. And also one advantage is it's a multilingual language is also available. So we have developed a vaccination form in Marathi, because we involve the community coordinators, the community representatives also for data collection. So it is easy for them to understand the questionnaire and fill the data. So that feature is also we are using here for the COVID thing, COVID vaccination drive. Yeah, I think that's it from my side. If any questions are there, I'll be happy to take it.
Please raise your hand if you have questions, and I can unmute. So in the meanwhile, right, Smita, I had a couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
One is, so when what are the most common reasons that you've seen for vaccine hesitancy amongst probably a lot of them in the slums?
There are very weird, misconceptions, that because of vaccine they will get COVID. That is one very common, that uh, even before they haven't got COVID, but after vaccine they will definitely they will have the COVID. And another thing is like, they may turn into monkey, because, or there may be a infertility because of vaccine. So these are just simply scared. I don't want to go for the vaccination. They are very scared. So there are different kinds of myths around the vaccination in communities.
And when you, how effective is, like, when you do any kind of intervention, like give them material or talk to them, how effective has that been? Like if you have 100 households where you speak to them, how many of them actually end up taking the vaccine?
Uh, I right now I don't have actually all the percentages in terms of percentages, but in Navi Mumbai, it has started showing impact. Like many people between the 18 to 44 are now willing to take the vaccine because of our mobilization. And the community volunteers has played a very vital role into that, because they are vaccinated and they are saying that okay, kuch nahi hota vaccine lene se, it's very safe, सबको लेना चाहिए. और वी आर ऑल्सो टेलिंग देम दैट अगर कोविड वैक्सीन अगर लिया तो 2 दिन सिर्फ आराम करना पड़ेगा, पर अगर नहीं लिया, कोविड हुआ, तो आपको 15 दिन घर में बैठना पड़ेगा. So all those kinds of things we are talking to them, and they are now getting convinced and coming forward for vaccination. And also it depends on the vaccine availability. So wherever the vaccine availability is there, people are ready and going for vaccination, they are getting vaccinated.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thanks a lot, Smita. That was really like a learning experience for us.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share my experience. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker of the day is Gigi. Gigi Elmana, the community program coordinator from Ashwini. Gigi was here during our last discussion as well, where we actually talked about a lot about the program at Ashwini and the different aspects of COVID care. Today, Gigi will be kind of talking about very similar things, but we'll also be talking about how Avni has been used within Ashwini. Over to you, Gigi.
Hello. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'll share my screen. Yeah. Okay. Can you see? Vinny, can you check?
Yes, Gigi, your screen is visible.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. Yeah. So in this presentation, first I'll talk about a little about Ashwini's background and how Ashwini work and all, and also about how we work against COVID and what are the activities we did against COVID and to prevent COVID. And yeah. So Ashwini is a registered charitable society working for the health welfare of the Adivasis since 1990. We mainly work in 2 taluks of Nilgiri district. And our main objective is, our primary objective is a health system that is accessible and sustainable, owned and managed by the Adivasi community themselves. So altogether in these 2 taluks, there are 20,000 Adivasis. They belong to 4 different tribes and they all scatter in 320 hamlets. As Ashwini focus mainly on health, we work in a 3-tier health system. The base and the base level and the main one is the village health volunteers. They are in the village. They are purely volunteers. They live in village and they mainly volunteer for all the works. And they'll be the first contact point in village like that. And the second are the health animators in area centers. We have 8 area centers. Geographically, in these 2 taluks, we divide into 8 area centers. So from Ashwini, there are health animators. These health animators are trained nurses and they provide preventive and primary curative care. And the third tier is the Gudlur Adivasi Hospital. It's a secondary care hospital with 50 beds. Yeah, that's about Ashwini. And the COVID management time, the COVID crisis time, how we managed and all. There was a crisis management team we restarted. Actually, from last year itself, there was a management team in the taluk level. It's collective from all without sister organizations also. We have other 2 sister organizations that one is Accord and Vidyodaya. So we all work together at the COVID time. And in the crisis management team also, there's a collective group from all these 3 organizations. So all levels we work together. And from the villages, the village volunteers, the health volunteers, other talebas, youth groups and all, we documented all the contact numbers and all. So initially, this all in the spreadsheet type, in the spreadsheet and the Excel sheet we documented and all. And the area team level, they daily they keep contact in the villages. They track the symptoms. If any symptoms or anything reported, we screen them and all. So that point area team was doing. And there was daily updates. The area team, they daily update to coordinators, and there were weekly meeting with the doctors to assess and planning and which are the high risk areas, which are the hotspot areas like that. So that all plannings and all based on this data, this documentation and the their updates. With that, health visits are there to villages, the area team and the doctors and other health visits are there to motivate these volunteers, plus to track the other illnesses like that. And there are regular health screenings in village. In screening, the team from the taluk to the hospital go, a doctor, nurses, and this health animators all together in a team will go and screen the whole village. If anybody is symptomatic or anything, we'll give the COVID medicine kit, the basic medicines and all we give to the patient, and take the samples also. Samples, there are in-house testing. So we take samples for rapid antigen and TrueNAT. So 2 samples we take. So we'll get immediate results and we can act also immediately. And in the villages where high risk, we provide pulse oximeter and we'll train the health volunteers or talebas, the youth groups and all. We train them how to use that pulse oximeter, that device, and they will inform to the area centers, all to the call center team and all. Another main activity is the vaccination. This last June month, vaccination drive was the main focus and all. With the help of government and also with continuous advocacy, the village government is ready to give the vaccination in the village, and we mobilize the people and all. So in this, by June end, we able to vaccinate at least the first dose with 90% of our population. And so that's about vaccination. And COVID, there's a COVID crisis communication center, the call center. A group of young boys from the community, they volunteer and they do regular calls to all positives and positive cases, plus the villagers and these volunteers and all. They help a lot in the documentation part in middle, because who all are admitted in hospital and discharged and all, they get the follow-ups and all, and they enter in the computer and in Avni also. So the documentation part, a lot of help they did by our young boys. And there's the Gudlur Adivasi Hospital. It's a secondary care 50 bed. So COVID time, we again strengthened the infrastructure, equipment and all, and we increased testing. Plus government swabs also taking. But that takes some time to get the results and also increase our in-house testings like TrueNAT and RAT, and we admit mild and moderate cases. So GH 50% ward is fully for COVID, and there is an isolation unit, and also one extension hall is there that's also used as for COVID. Yeah. So how we do the documentation through Avni? So first of all, we when we started in April, it was only the Google Sheets, Excel sheets, and all. We were documenting all the details and all, like or any positives happens or any the monitoring in villages. Health volunteers, they are monitoring with the pulse oximeters, and so that readings and everything is entered in Excel and keeping like that. But later we moved to Avni. First we created the forms, Avni forms we created, and enrolled all patients, like all who are positive, testing positive, we enroll in that. And if they're admitted in GH, or the details they enter in hospital, but that entering is in computer. We're using web interface also for Avni. So doctors, their details, the clinical details, everything they enter in the computer. And when they discharge, we mark it as discharge, and they'll be in home quarantine. That time, health animators, they visit, and when they get details from the health volunteers, they enter in their tab. And our communication center team, they also have a big part in this. They regularly call to all positive cases directly, and they enter the data, they enter the readings and all, and any symptoms increasing or anything, any issues, they enter directly. So our doctors also can see immediately. And if anybody need to refer or to hospital like that, that also they will be able to do. And also once is successfully completed the home quarantine, they recovered, and all those details also is captured in that. So, and we created reporting forms also. So for analysis and like new positive cases, how many are there? So that kind of weekly analysis also these reports and all, and the data through Avni helps. Yeah, same like how it help, like update on symptoms and all these active cases and able to evaluate by doctors, that's there. And admission details and all, the admission details and treatment details will be recorded in the same platform. So when they discharge and when they go to home and all, our health animators also will be able to see that what all was treatment given, that kind of. In here in Gutlo, remoteness of the village is a big barrier in community work. So in that case, Avni help a lot, actually help for the better documentation and also for this communication part. And it's easy actually, periodic monitoring and analysis and all. Before we need to see different Excel sheets and Google sheets and all to take the data and all. But now it's really easy to analyze and take the reports and all. And for further analysis also, because how much this the cases and how the COVID situation, how it's affected our community, and also furtherly also we can we'll be able to analyze this data, because all data is in one place, so we'll be able to do that. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you.
Room is open for questions.
May I ask one question, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, I'm associated with some village area and one Adivasi community. So I understand how Avni works, but then how to start this thing? Because I stay in Kharghar, Navi Mumbai, and this area is where my father is farming. So can you just help me to start how to get this awareness and get this vaccine thing there?
I understand about the vaccination you are asking, or how the Avni effectively worked.
There are a lot of what to say. If I want to get this technology, Avni, and get this Adivasi community vaccinated, then just give your suggestions, advice. How can I start off? Because I'm not a resident there. I stay in Kharghar, Navi Mumbai, but then, as I told you, I am associated through my father.
Okay. Here, Ashni, we have a three-tier system. So in the villages and all, we have health volunteers, and in area level, we have health animators and all. So there was already a documentation, there's already a rapport built, and there's already a system was set up. So with this, so in the villages and all, we already have a team, like Talevas are there, village health volunteers are like that. So with this system, when the COVID hit it, so this system helped us a lot to, to start immediately. It's not like, especially in vaccination time, there are a lot of villages, they said they take vaccination. They said we don't want, and because of their cultures and all. But our health animators and all staff and all, they, yeah, I want to add one more thing. All staffs, like 90-95% of our staffs are from the community. They are also tribals. They are from the community. We select them and train them like that. So when they go to villages, they make awareness. They talk about this, and in their language, it makes difference actually. When the PHCs and government side tried to come and do the vaccine, they were really they really hesitate on us. But this system, I think it's helped a lot. Especially in one village, I remember we started doing government people also was there, but we went there and our doctors started doing the vaccination. So the people said, "Oh, okay, our Sangam doctor is doing the vaccination, so they are okay. They are scared and all like that." Then they started. It was a big village. It was named Tepakadu. It's a Beta Kurumba village. The Beta Kurumba tribal culture also is really difficult actually. So that Talevas and all was there. But there are above 500 members are there to vaccinate. But when our doctors started doing and our team they started doing, so they all like confident. Okay, our doctor is giving vaccination, then it must be fine. Then we'll go like that. So slowly take at least 2-3 weeks to complete that village like that. So it's there.
Okay, understood.
Like that.
Manavidas?
Hi, I hope I'm audible.
Mostly, yes.
Yeah. So I think I already put it in the chat box, but I had a question for Ms. Gigi actually. Since you're saying that health animators sort of were feeding in information directly from their tablets, I was wondering if they were using Avni before the pandemic, or were they using a tool similar to Avni before the pandemic, and how or during the COVID relief work, and how long do you think they took to really understand and adapt to this technology, and how many trainings perhaps you had to take, and that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So Avni we were using the last 5 years. Before it was Open CHS program, we started with a maternal and childcare program. Before it was in files and monthly reports, and all hard copy kind of like health animators. They submit monthly reports. They enter all the details in registers. So from the register, they transfer to one monthly report, hard copy, and that copy we give to office and we enter in a computer like that. It was. Then we initially started the maternal and childcare program, all the under 5 growth monitoring and antenatal and postnatal care programs first started. Then last year we added other programs also like mental health, chronic, TB, like that, sickle cell programs like that. So that Avni, that program system was already there. Then when the COVID hit and the COVID programs there, we added forms in the same platform actually. That's what happened. Here in one more thing to add, like here in the 20,000 population, as I mentioned, it's 20,000 population. They all are part of Adivasi Munnetra Sangam. It's a people's organization, it's a Sangam. So all people are given a identity number. We call them Sangha numbers. So that Sangha number, we take it as an identity number, so that we use in the hospital and in the community like that. So in Avni and in hospital, we are using Bhamini. So both we use the same numbers to identify the people. So with the same number, we register the COVID patients also in the community. Yeah. So it was already, platform are already there, and we added the COVID forms in that.
Thank you.
Gigi, it might also be useful if you can say like how long did the health animators take to get used to Avni the first time it was used, say when they were using the maternity and the child module?
Yeah, it taken a long time actually, because they were used to write in papers and submit as a copy, paper copies, and write in register. They were really comfortable in that. Changing and shifting from that to computer, actually computers are really new to them that time when we initially started the under 5 and dental programs. It was really new to them. Even computers are really new to them. They were using Android phones, but WhatsApping and all that's there, but computers are really difficult. So first, all the existing data we need to shift to that time. We need to shift to Avni that time. And health animators, they took a long time actually. I think at least 1 or 2 years they took, I think.
Thanks. Actually, one of the reasons I also ask is because the organization I work in Anandi in Gujarat, we are also going through something very similar. So we have community health workers who've been given, tools like Kobo Collect, which Smita ji already mentioned in her thing. And I do see the kind of support that we have to sort of provide from time to time. So I was just curious how long perhaps you took in your experience, but thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
There's also a bunch of tidbits that I wanted to share. The first is that, like I shared the news article as well, but somehow vaccine hesitancy is almost non-existent in the Nilgiris if we were to go by news reports. So among the Nilgiris, among the tribals, there is almost no vaccine hesitancy. Everybody wants their vaccines. And I mean, the article itself also mentions Adivasi Munnetra Sangam as part of the group that kind of helped in getting to a situation like this. Just two more pieces. One is that Bamni, which is another open source health information system or a hospital information system, which is installed in Ashwini's hospital, is also integrated with Avni. So Avni to Bamni integration is kind of straightforward there. So anything that's happening in the community goes to the hospital, and anything in the hospital goes to the community. So that kind of helps them quite a lot. The third is that both Shelter Associates and Ashwini have worked on this module by themselves, like without the help of Samanvay Foundation or the Avni team. So that's kind of like a pat on the back for ourselves, that are like the people who are using Avni can actually start using it by themselves and modify it according to their needs, which is actually good for us, because that kind of removes the need for us to sit in between and do the actual technical work. Apart from that, it was a wonderful presentation. Gigi, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thank you, Vinay. Thank you for adding and clarifying. Yeah, I saw you shared the article link in the chat box. Yeah, thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah. Vaccination, all details, I think we can read it. Thank you, Vinay. Thank you.
We have one more speaker which we did not put in the invite itself, Harini Reddy from Raita Swarajya Vedika. They work in the field of agriculture among the Telugu speaking folks in our country. Harini is a volunteer at Raita Swarajya Vedika and is currently working on digitalization of their field work. I have no idea what Harini would be talking about, so I'm really excited to listen to this talk. Harini, over to you.
Hi. Yeah, thank you, Vinay. I would like to share my screen, so if you can give me the rights.
You should have rights now, Harini.
Yes. Okay. Yep. So yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Myself, Harini. I am a volunteer at RSV, Raita Swarajya Vedika. So currently we are working on the digitization of RSV. Yeah. So RSV is primarily working on farmers' issues and agricultural crisis. So these are the 4 pillars of RSV. And so we are basically a platform for different farmers' unions and organizations, so scientists and activists, whoever is working for solutions to the farmers' crisis. So one is income security for farm households. So if we all know about the farmer suicide crisis, and which is mostly prevalent in Telangana region. So RSV works in providing support to them in the form of livelihood, and and in helping them in getting all the entitlements that they're supposed to receive from the government, and also providing mentorship to the children of the families. So one is that, and we also guide the farmers in the crops that they can sow, and also in providing the pesticides, fertilizers, etc. And also in creating awareness about the different government schemes and the policies that are available to them, and how the policies how the new policies of the government will have an impact on them, and helping them in availing the minimum support price for the produce. So yeah, these are some of the things that we primarily work on. So, but during COVID, since we have a large volunteer basis at the ground level, as our work is primarily at the village level. So during COVID, we have partnered up with different organizations, and so one is we have set up a helpline for the migrant workers and also for COVID patients. So for migrant workers, we help them in travel and also in providing ration to those who lost jobs. And so we also helped in supplying thermometers and pulse oximeters to the ANM and ASHA workers, and also other medical supplies. And also to those who had mild symptoms and all. So we helped in video consultation with the community of our doctors. So far we have been doing all the work in paper or using Google Forms. So for this for the coming up work, we would like to use Avani. So we just started setting it up. So as of now, we are just done with creating the forms for household surveys. So we have created them in Telugu. So as it is going to be mostly in Andhra and Telangana regions. So the purpose of these surveys is going to be to assess the impact of second wave, how it impacted them socially and economically, how the children were impacted, and how the families were impacted. So, and also to identify the high risk areas and priority areas where there are critical patients suffering from different health conditions, and like someone talked about the vaccine penetration. So why people are not taking the vaccination? Is it due to the myths about vaccination, or they're not able to access it? So I would like to find out that and create awareness, so that this can be helpful for us in preventing the impact of third wave in remote areas. So this is what we are planning to do like immediately now. And in the future, we would also like to use Avani for our main regular work for the farmers crisis. So one is to track the families of the farmers committed suicide. So we would like to track the help that they have received, like when they applied for help from the government, when they submit different memoranda to the government or appeal to the government. So have they received it or not? So currently we have been the volunteers have been noting it in their diaries and then keeping track of them. So but with Avani, we would like to track it. And also, we would also like to track the cost of cultivation of crops. So for the entire crop duration, we would like the cost of cultivation would be different in different areas. So we would like to track it by regularly following it up with the farmers. So I think Avani would be useful for that, since it requires a lot of follow-ups, and it would be better to do it digitally. So yeah, I think right now all the data that we have is in very raw and hard copy form. So I think through Avani, we would like to get it refined and draw useful insights from the data through reports and dashboards. Yeah, that's all, Vinay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Harini. Any questions?
Yeah. So Naveen from our organization is also there. Naveen, would you like to add anything to this?
No, that's fine. Yeah, thanks, Harini. If anyone has any questions, I can take it up.
Yeah.
So I had one question about one specific point that you had mentioned about video consultation with doctors.
Mm-hmm.
How did that really work? And can you give a bit more details about how that whole thing worked?
Yeah. So Harini, can I answer?
Yes, Naveen, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So Vinay, we didn't use any particular format for doing it. So we had list of doctors and their numbers and some timings. So our ground volunteers, they were talking to COVID patients, and whenever they have some issue like breathing or any other issue, they used to visit them personally and do a video phone, mostly through WhatsApp.
Sure. And was there any need of like, so essentially it was just video consultation without too much of any kind of like, what is it called? Examination and things like that, right? So that's what I was wondering, because most consultations typically require some kind of an examination. So that's why I was wondering how that kind of worked out.
Yeah, I mean, as Harini said in the beginning, we are not from health background, so all of our volunteers are also not experienced. But doctors knew that, and they were suggesting blood reports, right? So wherever they are not able to see the patient physically, over the phone, so they were going by the experience of the patient, what they are saying, etc. Yeah, which is not foolproof, but yeah, that's how it went.
And both us as well as a bunch of doctors at JSS had actually developed an app called Shwas. So that is something that that kind of helps you, like if you are experiencing symptoms of COVID, it kind of tells you whether you're in the green zone or yellow zone or orange zone. So that's like an app that's available for free, although you need to have like a trained person. I mean, it need not be a health specific person, but you need some kind of a basic training if you want to use it. Many cases you can use it yourself as well, but it'll be best if you actually have, like, if you really have like a field force, maybe if you can get some help from them. That's one way we could, I mean, it's obviously not relevant right now, but in case there is a third wave, because they're also developing a child's version of it.
Yeah, so thanks, Vinay. We translated Shwas app into Telugu.
Okay.
Tried using it in some parts of AP and Telangana, which is very useful. But we couldn't do it. We couldn't train our volunteers because we were in the middle of it, and many of those stuff by the time our volunteers knew some parts of it, right? So how to identify the risk, yeah, and we were also helping them over the phone, patient by patient. Yeah, so we want to use it even now, but we were thinking that if it is integrated with Avni, that would be more helpful. Shwas, it doesn't capture the patient details, right? Yeah, so it only it's like self-assessment. So if it can be integrated with Avni app, that would be good.
Sure, we can talk about it later as well.
Yeah, but it's a great tool.
Yeah. Gigi, you had a question on the chat box. Did you have anything in? Was this to anybody specifically?
I don't know.
Harini?
Harini, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Okay.
They were describing about their population and all. So how, if they can brief about how the COVID situation there, how many active cases and all, what is the total population on that, about that project area like that. Also, one more thing, really interesting to know, like they are going to use Avni to follow the families of farmers who have died by suicides. I would like to know a little more about how the work currently going on there and how they are planning and all.
Yeah, so I will take it up. We have been tracking farmer suicide since last 10 years. So basically, it's more like our group is more like an advocacy group. So we were documenting farmer suicides which are happening. We collect data through RTIs and also through newspapers every day. Our volunteers go through local newspapers and document it. And then once in a while, maybe 1 year or 2 years, we analyze the data and see where the suicides are concentrated and what is their background. So we visit them family by family. Almost 60 to 70% families we visit them, and we do the fact finding. And government always denies that they are farmer suicides, right? So they say that it is suicides are because of other reasons. So we fight against that. We say that they are farmers, and they committed suicide because of the crisis in the agriculture. So we document them, analyze them, and time to time we see new patterns also. For example, recently, tenancy is the new issue. Many farmers people who are owning the land, they are not cultivating these days. Or the other way of saying it is, many people working in, cities or government employees are purchasing land, but they are not cultivating. People who cannot, own the land, they are leasing land from them and getting into the debts. Right, so their number in suicides are increasing. So when we did a fact finding of 700 farmer suicides last year, 2 years back, it is 75% is tenant farmers. So we do this work, but we are spending a lot of time in collecting the information at one place and analyzing it. Yeah, so that's taking long time because everybody captures their data on their notes, or somewhere it is hidden. So we are hoping that Avni can help us track the families also. So the other thing we do is we help the families personally also. Individually, as Harini said, we support them financially. Whenever some organization comes forward and says that they have some for any project, so we support the families also and their children education. So Avni, we want to track families individually and track their entitlements. They are entitled to compensation of 6 lakhs rupees in Telangana and 7 lakh rupees in Andhra Pradesh, and also they are entitled to a new home, and also their children education also. So we track them and make sure that they get those entitlements.
Okay, thank you so much. Or one more thing, any mental health issues you notice there? Or any preventive programs based on this analysis and data, any preventive programs you plan to know?
Yes, we did. I mean, we run a helpline, Kisan Mitra helpline. It started in Telangana. Now we are working in Andhra Pradesh also. We work with Telangana government in 4 districts. So yeah, we did a survey with ASHA workers, focusing on the mental health, and we have a psychologist in our team. So she also visits them and she also talks to them, and not just the farmer suicides, but also people who attempted. Right, so we also talk to them. We collect their data from local hospitals, and call them personally and visit them and try to understand what is going on in their life. Yeah, but we are in that space, but not fully into it. But if you have any specific questions, we can take it offline and I can connect you with our psychologist.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. That's really helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
So maybe we should actually have a complete session on farmer suicides. Would that is that something that that you would be able to take up say next month, Naveen or Harini?
Yes.
Sure. I will pester you soon about this.
Sure, sure.
Sure.
Do notify me when this session happens. Thank you so much. I'll put my email.
Sure. And okay. If there are no questions, there's just one last thing before we go on. Avni, there's probably one small feature which has been added just in case. I will quickly share my screen and show it, and it's going to be just a couple of minutes. So earlier, all that we had was whatever the app gives you, but there's one new thing which has come up, which is called a custom link. So essentially, and this is useful only if you have if you use the web app. So there are a lot of cases where we've seen people needing to print reports and things like that. So or even have any kind of visualization, which is not the same as what we have here. So if you see here, the only difference between the existing app and the new one is that you'll see this button over here that says monthly progress report. Now you can essentially configure any number of buttons in here and link it to whatever you want to do. Now this is from one existing implementation, and you click on that button, you get something similar to this. So in this case, this is a child monitoring application. So what they're doing is like the height graph from last month to current month and whether they are progressing or not. So this is like a progress card of this person over time. But you could essentially think of anything you would want, things like printing ID cards, doing anything at all in here. So that's a new feature that has come in Avni. In case you need it, you can always contact the Avni team and they can help you set it up. But yes, so that's one new feature which has come on since our last webinar. Other than that, we had nothing else to talk about. It's 407. Next month, I will try to get, we'll try to plan something around suicide maybe as well. And thank you all for attending. I hope this was useful to everyone. Thank you.
Vinay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vinay. Hey, Gigi, can I contact you offline? I missed some parts of your presentation.
Sure. Yeah. I'll share my email ID. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.